evening and welcome back. This is still Newsnet 3.0 on NDTVProfit. It's our special. It's on Google Zeitgeist. This is what you've been doing on the net. The most popular searches, everything that you do round the year. The searches, the queries, the people, the questions you have, all put together into fantastic lists. So it is the spirit of our times, the Google Zeitgeist list. We'll get more practical into all these lists and show you very interesting things, some startling, some surprising, some pretty normal, and some absolutely shocking. Let's start with today's show.
Delayed and the most hyped, Google demystifies the Chrome operating system exclusively to Newsnet. The ruling, the rising and the fallen, Google Zeitgeist reveals the Bollywood stars searched in 2010. How to get pregnant? What's a computer? Google's most asked queries by Indians hit the ironic limit.
Okay, so now you have a little bit of an idea. I'll give you a bit more. The Zeitgeist list is literally a list of us, what we do, the spirit of our age, the spirit of our times. What do you do on the net? Last year we started by a frightening statement that Google knows every single thing. They track you down. They know your history inside out. Let's find out, Vinay. So that's really true even now, right? You know, last year when we did this show, we got incredible mail back saying, so do they track every single word that I type into Google and otherwise? So is there anything to be frightened here?
Absolutely not. So one of the things I think I should clarify up front is that all the information that we get and we collect is on aggregate. No. So the list that we are publishing is really being derived from billions of queries that happen in India in 2010. Okay. So really it's there is no personal information either in this list or otherwise as well, because everything that we do is, you know, we have very strict privacy policies. We're very transparent about how we use users' data. So definitely nothing to be afraid of.
I'll tell you, before we start with this, let's do one more list which isn't here, but is a list that I think we've done on Newsnet a long time through this year. One of the things that people were most concerned about this year was privacy, was their own security online. It has become a huge issue this year more than ever before.
So let me tell you about what Google's policy and privacy policies are. There are really three mantras. Okay. One is transparency, second is choice, and third is control. Okay. So transparency is we will tell you exactly the kind of data that we want to collect about you. The choice of whether you want to opt in or opt out is completely yours. And third is you can control what people see and what they can't see at any given time. So we actually have a privacy dashboard. So if you go into account setting, there is a privacy dashboard. And in that dashboard, you see everything that we know about you. And you can go take it out.
Okay. So this is something that you may not be aware. We've done a pretty big segment on Newsnet once before, that you can go into Google and actually change your settings, as we spoke about the privacy dashboard. So maybe that does need you to look into it once in a while. This is what Google knows about you. Go there. It's interesting to look at it. Okay. Let's do, I'm going to do one list, but we'll do this list and then I'm going to come back into the fact that you now slice and dice it a little differently from before. So we'll do the fastest rising, which basically means?
So fastest rising means we look at last year's lists and this year's queries, and we see which one has the highest percentage increase in delta. Okay. Right? And there is a minimum threshold. So for example, if you had one query and you have 10, doesn't mean you have 1,000% increase. Right. There is a minimum threshold, which is very different from the most popular, which is really measured based on volume, which is the highest number of queries for a particular type of search.
Okay. So at this present moment, I'm going to do a actual comparison between fastest rising, and as you can see, like, you know, we're doing the graphics as we're speaking. So fastest rising, IRCTC login, which basically is the Indian Railways, right? And the most popular is songs.
Yes.
Just by itself, the word songs, right? Pretty generic, right? Very specific versus very generic. So people that want to take a train journey and people that want to listen to songs while on the train journey, or somewhat like that. Can you make sense for these two?
You know, what we are finding is that the internet now is not in the, in the domain of just techies. So people are using it in many different forms. So IRCTC login is either you're going and checking the status of your PNR number, you want to book a ticket. So e-commerce, and if you think about travel as one vertical within e-commerce, which is over now $2.5, $3 billion worth of transactions are happening online in travel, whether it's in trains or planes or buses. So we're seeing this category grow very, very fast.
Okay.
Right? The other one is just songs, and this has been a very popular category throughout the years.
But not the first one last year.
It wasn't first, and I think this is something that, for example, this year, a few months back, we launched what we call music search. So when you actually type in the name of a song, or we see some song from the latest movie, we give you a one-box result, which is essentially you can click it and play the song and stream that song right within the search interface. So what we do is we actually take a lot of feedback from what people are searching for, so we can improve our products as well.
So now when I look at these, the things that come up in my mind, do you also censor things out from this? Because there are some pretty obvious ones that are not here. Is there? I think
there is some censoring. So there is a lot of spam type things that we might take out, and then there are some that may have very sort of specific adult themes.
Okay. So interesting that, we've done fastest rising, we've done most popular. Fastest rising people has always been a very interesting one. Our old favorite Katrina Kaif is number 7 in fastest rising. Again, number 1 in popular Bollywood celebrities and everything else. I'm really wondering where. I mean, I know last year you said that you typed a lot to make sure she got right up to the top.
I do my bit.
So, fastest rising people are Aruna Shields and Zareen Khan. Lady Gaga, I can understand. Thank God there are international trends here. I'm sure she must be number 1 in your international list, carrying on and even. So, the 2 surprises here, in fact, the 3 surprises here are 1, 2, 3. Aruna Shields, Sonakshi Sinha and Zareen Khan. No men here, and then Lalit Modi makes an appearance. So he's poster boy now in more ways than one, right? Can you decide, guys, this first, what do you think about
So
this?
I think the important thing to think about is fastest rising again is not the most popular, but it's just the delta between last year and this year. And to be honest, I had to go look up who Aruna Shields was, and so
I know that Aruna Shields, but Zareen Khan, I have literally no idea. I'm going to go right after and search, so maybe next time she'll move even faster.
Right. I think she was in one of the movies V, or
That's right.
and same thing with Aruna Shields. I think she was in a movie as well with Vivek Oberoi called Prince. So I think some of these have very strong, very good songs. So people want to, either listen to those songs, so therefore they type in the name of the movie, or they may want to play YouTube videos around it. So there's multiple uses when you actually think about one query.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's go show you these lists and a little bit of our own little explanation as to fastest rising people and most popular Bollywood celebrities. Let's take a look at these 2 lists.
There are stars and there are rising stars. And Google searches in 2000 did make and break a few. Topping the fastest rising stars is Aruna Shields. Did we hear Shields who? She's the new Bollywood entrant who dared to bear and is ready to drop all. A close second is Sonakshi Sinha, with Shatrughan as her daddy and Dabang as her debut. No surprises there. Third is Neha Sharma. Neha who? Neha of the Crook fame. Crook who? Well, Google it. Now the big stars. SRK is at the bottom. Wake Up King, as Googlers have installed a queen. Katrina rules the list, and ex-Salman Khan, well, Googlers have put him next on number 2. Followed by old flame Aishwarya Rai. Too close for comfort. But breakups define 2010 searches. And number 8 is Deepika, and ex-Ranveer is on number 9. So safe to say, sniffing out private affairs is the search engine's USP.
Okay, let's come back now to the most popular movies. Let's do all these things that we have a lot of interest in. So, Kites, number 1. No idea why.
I think if you look at the number 2 and number 3, which is Endiran and Dabang, which are probably more popular.
I think number 2 should have been number 1, but then I think that may be localized to the south, right?
Not necessarily localized to the south, but also it has a dependency on the timing of when these movies came out. Okay. So Kites came out very much early in the year, so you've had a year full of queries where it's not just about the movie release, but it's also about the songs and the videos and things like that that people see, whereas some of those other movies are more recent. And I think Kites, for example, did a lot of promotion online before they launched, so that also drives a lot of volume.
So that does tell us that you don't have to necessarily have a hit movie to be number 1.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll do the most popular movies and we'll also take a break. When we come back, lots more. We'll find out a lot more about these lists, some very interesting lists coming up, and then some more things to do with Google per se. We have Vinay here. We can't let him go without some more tough questions. See you after the break. Welcome back. This is Newsnet 3.0. We're doing a Google Zeitgeist special. Lists that you and me are actually making for Google when we go online and search everything that we want in our life, our desires. And desires gets me to the next one, which is most popular how-to. And we always have fun with this one because it's very interesting. And strangely enough, it's not changing. So let me tell you, almost every year we're surprised that how to get pregnant, how to kiss, how to impress a girl are usually on the top.
That's right.
And there you are dispensing this information and wisdom in millions and billions, and you're not getting people to become better kissers or becoming pregnant or not becoming pregnant.
You know, I like to think of it as that we're getting to the next generation of users.
People who want to get pregnant and who want to learn how to kiss.
So the last year's guys already figured it out, and they're well set, right? And so the new users who have to learn this from the very beginning. But I think these are sort of very much, growing problems or growing self-help issues.
Right, I find this interesting because there's a how-to list and there's a what is. Now, how-to seems to be very practical into what I need to do today, tomorrow, tonight, right? I mean, mostly tonight. Mostly it's a tonight list. They would gain weight and reduce weight right next to each other, right?
That's right.
We should just meet each other, these people, right? But the what is seems to be a little bit more philosophical. There are things like what is life, what is love. Of course, what is 3G, which is also as philosophical, I think, as anything else that we've heard. When you do a little bit of analysis in this, the how-to list, and we're going to run through all of them right now with the audience, but what is server is a shocker to me.
Yeah, it was to me as well.
It's incredible that would be one of the things, because first of all, how much of interest is there in that? Second, the complexity of what is a server, and third, it's almost a redundant category other than corporates that use it, right? What is a server is a big surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at last year's list also, it tends to be very tech-dominated in the what is.
Okay.
There is what is a computer, what is the
domain, what is Twitter,
what is domain. So actually this does tend to be very, there are a lot of people who are either studying engineering, want to study engineering, or hear all these terms, 3G, Android, all of those types of things, and are very sort of interested in what is this stuff. And I think that's why these lists reflect that. What is server? I'm not quite sure why that came up on the top.
But then right at the top, what is the server, right? That's exactly. Okay, let's do this. What is, and my favorite, how to. Let's take a look at this and let's see what exactly do these mean.
Leaving how to do and what to do on Google sounds crazy, but the search engine's most occupied telling Indians about the birds and the bees, it seems. Sample the top how to query question. How to get pregnant? Strange, a billion-strong country should ask. Closely followed by how to kiss and how to impress a girl. Someone, please help us. But considering how to improve spoken English is next frequently asked question, we are ready to talk. And go out asking how to reduce weight, how to tie a tie, and how to increase height. Another surprise is the what is what section. India, the world's IT center, is asking the basics. What's a server? What's a software? What is a computer? And it's all on Google.
Okay, now that we've done what is and how to, let's do another very interesting one. And this really is where I believe these lists really shine. So while we understand that these give us the spirit of our times, the most popular gadgets, and then you have a very interesting list which is the most popular gadgets that actually Google was reached by, the search query was generated by. I mean, if you'd done this 10 years back, there would have been nothing. There would have been laptops and desktops. There would have been no. Today, this entire list is made up of phones, and surprisingly, we're not going to give it away, but surprisingly, one brand dominates. Popular gadgets, there are quite a few from that same company, but one brand dominates in that in terms of the devices that are used are usually that. So let's take a look at the list and then we'll come back and I'll try and understand from you what this really means. So most popular gadgets, that's the gadgets you actually search. Remember, that's not where the search query is originating from. Those are just the ones that you're searching for, and then we'll do the ones which is the gadget you use to actually get to Google and search.
Could this be a phony list? In a way, yes. Google spilled the beans on who searched what gadgets of the top 10. 9 were smartphones. Mobiles ruled the Indian gadget searches. iPhone dominated them. One of the most expensive smartphones was closely followed by a Samsung Corby, one of the cheapest smartphones, but the rest was no irony. Rather, iron-fisted control of the customers by Nokia. Nokia 5233 Express Music was the most searched on third spot, and 6 searches out of 10 most searched were the Nokias. including models 5233, 5230, X6 and X3. In fact, Nokia was the single most used smartphone to make Google searches themselves. 9 of Nokia models ruled the list of 10 smartphones, with Nokia 7210 topping the best internet phones list. The only other brand in this list was the Samsung GTC 5510.
Nokia, and then one little Samsung somewhere. And we all seem to think that Nokia is kind of fading out a little.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because if you look at the list of where the searches came from this year, it resembles very strongly the list that people were searching for the last year or the year before. So it's not necessarily a leading indicator of where searches will come from next year, but certainly Nokia has been very strong and continues to be strong in India.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll quickly do one or two more lists, and then I'm going to come back and have into the questions which have nothing to do with these lists, right? So it's most popular politicians, no surprise here, and then a lot of surprises here. Indira Gandhi still stays here. And we did say this last time also that she is evergreen on these lists, right? Obama is still here. Mamata Banerjee has made an interesting comeback on this one, but Rahul Gandhi still tops. And then we're going to do most popular business leaders, right? So again, Vijay Mallya, and then his son actually comes in right next. So Deepika Padukone is right.
These are folks that are in the news a lot, maybe because they're quite flamboyant.
So is that what we should tell all businessmen that come on? If you want to be on this
got a bunch of different enterprises, everything from sort of the UB business to the IPL business, and I think a lot of it could be...
And then Nita Ambani beats Mukesh, so that's IPL for you, right? Modi beats all other men.
There you go.
So whether or not you're a part of
cricket is evergreen, I would say.
Okay, this is interesting. Always enjoy doing this. Now for some more things which are interesting about Google in itself. So first let's start with Chrome, the OS. Last year when we spoke about it, we said, when I come in here next time, most probably we'll have it out. And we've got to the demo list, right? I'd like to know from you, Chrome OS, how are you going to distinguish it and differentiate from Android? One. Second, we've been told that it's going to be delayed a little bit more, even though you have practical demos of it out, you already have your first laptops and everything else out. So just a little bit about the Chrome OS, because we're now near it all happening, right?
Correct. So we've actually given out a few thousands of Chrome OS netbooks, not just to people within Google, but to the folks outside. There's a way you can apply for it and actually get access as a tester, demoer, so on and so forth. So we talked about Q4, which is this quarter, getting out. So we have. And we're getting really, really good feedback. And the idea is to take that feedback, what other things that people want from it before we can do a full-fledged launch with the product. So that was question one. I think question two was the way we distinguish it is, I think if you think about an operating system that is focused more on mobile / a tablet, it's very touch-based, it has camera built in and all those types of things, the kind of device drivers that you have, the kind of UI, UX interactions of flipping with your finger and those types of things require a very different kind of development ecosystem than, say, a netbook. And then it might go on from there, which is, you're still typing. You have a keyboard. And therefore the device drivers that are there and the UX, UI, and all of those types of things, again, are very different. So if I were to give one distinguishing factor between sort of Android OS and stuff is, one is more touch focused, the other one is more keyboard focused. And smaller form factor, slightly bigger form factor, but beyond that, they're both, open systems, they're open sourced, and people have a choice of how they want to use it.
Absolute final question. Can you please clear the confusion of Google Nexus phones for the entire world? We are very confused. You have this great device, which we all till today, despite the fact that after you discontinued the Nexus 1, the other companies have had 6 to 8 months to come up with a better device. Nobody yet has. Most techies call the Nexus 1 still the best Android phone ever, and you took it off the market. And then there's suddenly when we all heard, okay, Google doesn't want to be in this business. You have the Nexus S. So can you just clear this once and for all? Are you not? Is there going to be... How does this happen? And what is the future here?
So, number one, we're not really in the device business.
But you were.
Devices that are built by our partners.
You can say that after taking it off, but you were, right?
So, like the Nexus 1 was developed by HTC, the Nexus S is developed by Samsung. So we don't really, I think for us is, this is coincided with Android 2.3 or Gingerbread. And what we try to do every now and then is come up with some lead devices that have sort of the true Google experience. And what we found with the Nexus 1 is that when we had that true Google experience, the devices that came after were a notch above the devices that were there before, and that's really the expectation as we go forward, is you will see, hundreds and thousands of other Android devices coming in.
So, but the very fact that you were willing to give Samsung the Nexus, the domain, does signify that this is a Google-backed device, right? In some way or
the other. It is definitely a Google experience device, and I think that's the beauty about it, that we're not tied to one hardware. We're not tied to sort of
Will you sell it like you were selling the Nexus 1? Do you actually have a hand in the sales and in the fact that you have to order it off a Google website or a Google market?
So these are now not being sold direct by Google, but I believe it's being sold on Best Buy. In the US,
as of now, yes.
And in the UK, they will be available shortly as well.
Which of course brings me to India. Thank God you're with Samsung. They will bring it to India, I'm sure. And so the Nexus 1 never made it here ever, right?
That's correct.
So this one will come to India?
Well, I think it depends on when Samsung and other vendors, who bring it out. But in India, I think, we've already seen Android devices, and very nice Android devices, break the 10,000 rupee barrier.
Oh yeah, they're down to 6,000 rupees now
so I think
the Micromax Android.
Correct. So if you go back to Zeitgeist and you look at the fastest growing, you have mobile phones. You have Spice, you have Samsung, you have Micromax and others. So it's great. I think you're seeing this new wave of phone manufacturers, and many of them do use Android.
So good. I think all of these things put together this year, the list had certain surprises, certain things just remain the same, which is also good sometimes. But also the changes that are coming. I think next year again, we do this every year where I ask you next year when you come in, what do you think will be the changes? So I think we'll be sitting here with at least a Chrome OS netbook between the two of us. That's for sure.
And with 3G networks coming in, I would imagine like some sort of mobile videos. Hopefully we might see that list as well.
All right, absolutely, yes. So there will be changes when we come in next year, some new lists, right?
That's right.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much once again, Vinay. As always, absolute pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you. So that then is Newsnet, the Google Zeitgeist list. We've done it for 2010. Next year, same time, same place. Usually I say it for every day, but this will be next year, same time, same place. We'll do the 2011 version. See you then.